What's up, guys? We are back with another Black Series review, another exclusive review. This time it's a Disney Store exclusive, though, and this time it's a figure that has been a long time coming. I have waited and waited and waited for this one, and we finally have him, my favorite bounty hunter, Zuckuss. So we've got him here in the standard Black Series packaging. You can see him there in the window. We've got some artwork down there on the side. No number because he's exclusive. And then we've got a small bio as well as that artwork again on the back. So let's pull him out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package. My long-awaited favorite bounty hunter. You know, I've been a fan of Zuckuss for basically forever. Since I was a kid, for some reason, this bug guy has always been my favorite, especially in, Legends, lore, previous, expanded universe kind of stuff. So I was very excited to get a hold of this figure. There's a lot that I like about this guy. There's some stuff that I'm really not all that jazzed about, but at the same time, it's amazing to finally be able to say we have all of the bounty hunters. There are a few areas of improvement in some of them, like IG-88, for example, but it's nice to finally be done with a small subset in this line. It's basically taken forever to get this far. So we're obviously going to take a look at articulation first. There's some interesting stuff to talk about with this guy. There's a lot of soft goods here, so that means we get quote-unquote extra stuff when it comes to Black Series. So as usual, working our way from the top down, the head is on a ball peg. He does have some limitations though, because as we know, Zuckuss, his whole body is encased in kind of a breathing apparatus. So you've got the tubes that run down from his face and they actually wrap around to his back. So he can only go so far, but it doesn't really get too crazy. He still moves quite a bit. That's a pretty decent range of motion for someone whose head is tethered to their body. And in that way, he looks down pretty good. He doesn't really look up very well though. He just kind of goes neutral. And then you've got a little bobble side to side. Arms go all the way out. They can swivel all the way around technically, but the jacket is going to hinder that a little bit. There is a bicep swivel in there. There is double jointed elbows in there. And then we have got rotation and a vertical hinge on his left hand. And then we've got a lateral hinge on his right. There is, a waist diaphragm type twist in there, but he is really confined because of his harness and the soft goods. So he doesn't twist too much. You kind of got to work at it to get it to move underneath all that stuff. Legs can, in theory, go all the way out, but you're going to, make him look really weird, do the Gand splits, and then he kicks forward, he kicks back. We do get up in there. We do have a thigh cut because, we got fully sculpted legs underneath all that. Double jointed knees, of course. And then we have got a rocker and a hinge down there. So, in terms of what he does have, it's basically the same thing every other figure has, with the kind of added bonus of getting the quote unquote hidden joints, because like they do with this line, they don't add bicep swivels and double jointed elbows willy-nilly. They only do it when they can hide them, so to speak. So we definitely knew we were going to get that kind of stuff here. I'm glad he has it because the soft goods is a little limiting. It's nice to get those joints because, he definitely needs them. You can see here, we'll pull it up real quick. It is an ugly joint. I mean, it doesn't look all that great on this body, but it is very functional. Even with the soft goods, it definitely helps. Helps with the restricted factor of these big ropes. So I'm pretty happy with how this guy moves around. The only real bothersome area for me is the head not being able to look up so much. The waist twist I'm okay with. It's just mostly the head that I'm lacking something. Now, as far as the overall look of this guy, I do have a lot that I'm really happy with. I kind of have an issue with the soft goods, though, and we'll talk about that. But for the most part, I am pretty happy with him. My main interest in this figure lies in the head sculpt because that's really his defining characteristic, and I think they absolutely nailed it. But let's talk about everything else first. So we do have, like I've already showed, we do have fully sculpted arms in here, and I suppose you could take all the robes off and see what's going on underneath that as well. I bet honestly, no one Hasbro, there's a full sculpt under there, but they've gone and sculpted his kind of weird gnarly arms, and there's a wash all over that, so it's got kind of brown look and feel. We do have a trigger finger on the left hand because he's a lefty, and then we've got another just a gripping 3-fingered hand on the right. I do really like his harness. I think it's well done. It's got that kind of faux leathery look to it, and he's got the back panel back here as well, which pegs in, and these are where the tubes terminate. They go into the flap back here, basically up into the back of the figure. So you can see them, they kind of terminate right there, if you can catch that. So the tubes go all the way up in there. So they do fully wrap around the figure. We've got fully sculpted pants and then fully sculpted boots as well. So what little you can see, they went ahead and fully sculpted that. So it's got a nice look and feel. I like the pouches. I like the kind of plating that they've done here. My only real issue is that I just for some reason, something about these soft goods seems kind of weird to me. I just think they look unnecessarily thick, I guess, is really what comes across to me. It looks like he's got way too much fabric on him, especially at the arms. From the waist down, I think he looks pretty good. From the chest, it's pretty good as well. It's mostly here. Like, there's just a lot of stuff there. And I assume that, most of that is to allow for a range of motion. So, it's kind of a give or take maybe that, he either is going to be a little more restricted or he has to have this little puffy look. And I guess maybe this is the trade-off. That's kind of my takeaway from this anyway. So it's not ruining the enjoyment factor for this figure for me at all. It's just kind of a thing that I keep looking at. When I see it, I'm like, he just looks so puffy. And, I don't know, something about that kind of annoys me. But other than that, I think they really nailed the way this guy looks. Now, we will do a comparison as far as size goes to the other bounty hunters, because there's definitely something to talk about there. But let's take a look at this head sculpt in a little finer detail and take a look at all of the nasty nooks and crannies that they sculpted into this bug brain. So from the neck up, getting a little closer in there, I'm exceptionally satisfied with how he looks from the head sculpt and all of the breathing apparatuses, because that's what all of this stuff is to help him breathe, because he is not an oxygen breather. So we've got all the tubes again. They look very organic. They look fleshy. We've got the canister that sticks out. The very buggy eyes on the head, I think, look fantastic, and the mouthpiece that he's got on there. Of course, everything is sculpted like a big carapace. Very alien, very insectoid, because that's the whole shtick behind Zuckuss's look. Everything is sculpted in nice, fine detail. Tons of paint applications to bring out all of that little sculpted line work, all the little pitted areas. So he's basically just kind of tan plastic with a nice deep brown wash that's applied to there. So I think it looks fantastic. And of course, all those silver accents really add a nice contrasting look and feel to this particular figure. It makes him kind of stand out. He looks, very much like a bug, but also you can tell that he is definitely something quite alien. Now, as far as accessories go, Zuckuss has one. He has his, if I can remember correctly, this is his snare rifle. He doesn't actually fire laser blasts. He fires like a energy net of some kind to snare his prey, which I always thought was pretty cool. I really like the style of this gun. He holds it exceptionally well. Thankfully, because that's his only accessory, so it's good that he can hold it. But the added articulation with the bicep swivel and the double jointed elbows really, really helps to get past the issues of him being covered in soft goods and allows him to grip it, hold it in nice positions. This left hand is sculpted perfectly for this gun, and then of course his right hand can hold it to do a two-handed pose, or he can hold it just fine in one hand, in the left hand specifically. It's mostly just black, but it's got a little brown paint on there, and it's got a nice, unique sculpt. I'm a big fan of this gun. Like I said, I'm a big Zuckuss fan, so I kind of knew what I was getting into when it came to this accessory, but I think they did a great job of fitting it into the mold they already established with how he's sculpted on its own. So it's a solid accessory that fits him perfectly. And like I mentioned, here's a quick size comparison between Zuckuss and the other bounty hunters, or just between them all, because we finally have them. It's time to show them off. So Zuckuss in the canon is, he's not even 5 feet tall. So he is really small, and this figure is just about 5 inches roughly. So he's kind of in scale, depending on how you stack him up. There are some slight inconsistencies. It's pretty well known that the bounty hunters are not 100% to scale. IG-88 is like the most egregious problem. Bosk and Boba Fett are okay. Dengar's okay. Forlom and Zuckuss, though, they pair up pretty well as far as scale consistency goes. So the fact that they are meant to be a duo works pretty well. The rest of them are okay. IG-88's the one that kind of needs a redo, but it's nice to have them all together, and I think in general they do look good together. He looks a lot smaller next to these bounty hunters, next to other figures than he appears once you get him in hand, but he is supposed to be pretty small. He's a shorter guy. So it makes sense that they made him this small. But otherwise, there you go. There's your size, your scale comparison between Zuckuss and the rest of the crew. So overall, and of course taking into consideration the fact that I'm a huge Zuckuss fan and have been for an extremely long time at this point, it was hard to imagine that I wasn't going to like this figure. And at the end of the day, I very much do like this figure. I like the head sculpt. I like all the other sculpted detail that they crammed under the soft goods where they didn't necessarily need to, but it's Black Series and they tend to do that anyway. I like his weaponry. I like the paint jobs. My only real gripe again is that I find the soft goods to be kind of weird and puffy and thick almost. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the way he looks. He is on the small side, but he's kind of supposed to be. There's just always going to be some weird scale inconsistencies with the bounty hunters, I guess. I don't think we're going to get redos anytime soon, but I am very much happy to have finally gotten this lineup completed. It's been far too long. We should have gotten this roster years ago, but it's finally here. We've got our Zuckuss, we've rounded out our bounty hunter crew, and at the end of the day, I am pretty happy with him. It's a space bug man. I was pretty much always going to be happy with it. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Zuckuss figure from Hasbro. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.